Okay, so just to get the what's in the gear right now. So it's talking about the HaOlah, and the HaOlah, the Torah says as follows: HaOlah al moikta. This is the Olah, which means the ascent offering. Al moikta, moikta means a flame, or it means the pyre of wood. So the Medrash says about on this pasuk that it ascends. You have to put the HaOlah on top of the flame, top of the mizbeach. So the Medrash says that this is Malchus Edom. This is the final golus that we're in, that elevates itself. It ascends and ascends, like the pasuk says, if you will, pasuk in Avadia, talking about Edom, in Tagbia Kanesher, if you will ascend like an eagle, in the end Hashem will bring it down. So therefore, what's the Eitzah? It's judged with fire. It's a pasuk in Daniel that in the end the beast, the Roman beast, will be consumed by fire. So that's what's hinted here. HaOlah, it ascends, but what's its end is al moikta. The end is it's consumed by fire. So the Maamar of the Rebbe Rashab, upon which this Maamar is based, explains that this medrash is based on another medrash, in Medrash Rabbah. And that medrash describes the ladder of Yaakov. We're talking about tefillah. It's getting to tefillah. So the ladder of Yaakov has many meanings, and one of them is that why was he frightened? Why was he so afraid? He woke up and he was afraid. Manoida hamokem is this. What was he fearful of? Simple pshat in the pasuk is because Hashem was revealed and he didn't know the future side to the base of Mikdash. But the medrash says that he was fearful of what he saw, namely, the angels ascended and descended. Now, again, the question is, angels first descend and then they ascend. Why is he seeing them going up, oilim, and then veyodim? Because what he's seeing is the various golus, and each step was a year that the Yidden were subject to golus. So therefore, as the Medrash goes on to say, he saw the Sar, the Malach of Bavel, go 70 steps, and Modai of Mede or Persia, 52, and Yovan, the Greek Golos, 180. But then the fourth, Shel Edom, it ascends and ascends, and he cannot see the top. And that's why we're so fearful that this Golos seems to go on without end. Will it never have a descent? He exclaimed. So the Eibusha told him, there's another pasuk, Al Tira Avdi Yaakov. This whole medrash is on the pasuk, Al Tira Avdi Yaakov in Yirmiyah. Hashem is telling Yaakov, don't be afraid because of what you saw, because even if it will ascend like an eagle, I'll bring it down. Now the medrash goes on to say that even if, listen to the strange thing the pasuk asked, even if Edom ascends and sits by me, says the Eibishter, v'yoshev etzli, mishom ani meridin. The Maamar asked, what does this mean? That Malchus Edom sits with the Eibishter? That's far beyond any ascent described earlier by the other Golusim. It's one level, another level, they're levels. But here we're saying that Malchus Edom is Yoshev Etzli, sits by me. So from there I'll bring him down. But what does it mean that Malchus Edom is sitting by the Eibishter? So it's not enough that it has this higher and higher and higher. Where does it end up? Etzli. Mal Pirush, what does this mean? This is astounding. So the Rebbe continues, as we started learning. We started this, yeah. That the union of the Sulam, the ladder which we're talking about now, and Yaakov's vision. So the Sulam is also going on tefillah. The Zohar says, Sulam du tzloisa, dot tzloisa. The ladder is tefillah, and that explains also why the angels are going up and coming down, because tefillah is composed by man. We talk to God, and God responds. Torah is the other way. Torah is Hashem talking to us. That also explains why oilim v'yodim. And there are four rungs on the tefillah, just like the four golusim, so the four stages of tefillah, and each one is a rung. The Rabbi added that incidentally, we see that since the Maimer brings the union of the Zohar, that davening is a ladder in connection with the Medrash that says that Adam sits by me, is to tell us that if in Klippa there is this union of Yoshev Etzli, how much more so in Kedusha, in Avodas HaTefillah, that a Yid sits mamash by the Eibishter. How much more so? So explains that the four rungs, the four shalivos of Tefillah correspond to the four elements. So let's begin. We did this a bit, we'll continue by the number 16 in the text. The Tchila, everybody has it? Yeah, the number 16 is base. Beginning of davening is in a way of heidah, of acknowledgement. Shehi basiya. This corresponds to Olam Asiya. It means in avodah, it's not emotionally motivated or intellectually. It's bittul kabbalas oil, action. I'm yours, period. So this heidah, this acknowledgement, I'm a yid, and you're God. So this starts with b'amidas meidani lefanecha. So first he says, meidani lefanecha. That's the first thing he says. I acknowledge, I thank before you. We actually didn't do this yet. Again, heidoya, again the union of thanks, again of bittul. It's still olam asiyah. But now he's saying Heidul Hashem, Lahavaya, which he did not mention the Eibishter's name in Meidani. And here he explains why. Because as soon as he awakes, he doesn't know what level he's connecting to, and he's thanking. So it's just general. So the hidah, the acknowledgement that he wakes up every morning. So, and his connection is not a specific one to specific levels, lamaila, a specific relationship. It's not the specifics of the relationship. It's that there is a relationship, and that's meidani. Hidah klal is bilvad. Rak lachar akdomas krishma ktano. It's only after, between Meidani and the Heidul Havaya, what did he say? He said the small Krishma, or Parshas HaKorbanos, and he said the whole Parsha of Korbanos. This is all a lotion of the Rebbe Rashab. And the Rebbe says, Lohoyir is to be pointed out. Shezeh lotion bilti rogel. We do not find this expression anywhere Chassidus, that between Meidani and Heidu is the Hakdama of the small Krishma and Parshas HaKorbanos. So he's pointing it out. We don't find any other Maimodim where it addresses the small Krishma and Parshas HaKorbanos as the link between the first Meidani and Heidul Havaya. Continuing now, so since he had already his bonus in the small Kriya Shema, whereas he was born in Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and so on, V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha, and so on, and he's born in the Korbanos, Korban HaOlah, and the Toras, and before that the Tzois Hadeshen, and then the whole enumeration of the various Korbanos and their levels. So now when he says thank you, it's a different thank you. As a Bolodei Asoga B'miktas, he has a little bit of understanding to what levels of the divine he's connecting to. There's an appreciation of the nuance and the different dimensions of the relationship. This begins with Heidul Havaya. But the Meidani is the general relationship. There's I'm married, period, gamarno. And then the marriage has many different expressions of connection. That is what follows after these bonus. And now he says Hoidulavai because he's already embarked on the process of an appreciation of how God has chosen to reveal himself in the various madrigas and korbanos and the various avodas, etc. Still, this is still Eilam Asiya, this is still all action orientated. It's all I'm yours on the behavioral level. The Achri is Baruch Shomar, but then he begins Baruch Shomar. Psuke de Zimra, and literally the verses of song. So here comes the holiest bondiness of the complexity of creation and the beauty of creation. So here the emotions are aroused. Looking push at the translation of the Kapitlach and Tilim and the whole Seder they're culminating in Kriyas Yamsuf. So this would be Yitzira. This here stirs his heart, stirs the emotion. This corresponds to Olam HaYitzira, because in Olam HaAsiya, what's the main midah of the Eibush and Olam HaAsiya is Malchus, which is action, behavior, governance. What's the main midas of the 10 tzviras that are revealed in Olam HaYitzira? It's the 6 midas. As we explained many times, it's not that the 4 olamas are cut and paste just on a lower level as a result of the tzimtzum, but the same olam just repeating in more dimmed, lower, more distant levels. It's not the pshat. We explained that in olam ha'asiyah, what dominates is malchus, the Eibishter's word and action. That's what dominates all 10 tzviras. What dominates Olam HaYitzira are the 6 midas. So Olam HaYitzira is a world of emotion primarily. What dominates Olam HaBriya is Bina, is the divine intelligence and therefore deep understanding. And what dominates Olam HaTzilus is Chochmah Bittul Mamash. These are the 4 levels of Tefillah. So he starts in the Olam, so first Olam HaYitzira and then Olam HaYitzira, which is Psuket Zimra. The heart is stirred and excited. Lacher is Birchas Krishma v'Krishma. Then comes Birchas Krishma, the whole is bonus of the Avodah Malachim, of the Srafim, of the Ifanim, and the Chayes HaKodesh, as we've learned in previous Maimarim recently. So that's the Avodah Basagas HaMoich. And now he's having an intellectual understanding of the absoluteness of godliness and the various levels of the malachim, what they understand, their levels of bittul, and so on. So shehi bebriya, that's Olam HaBriya, which is again the ikar of briya is bina. And then he comes to Shmei Nesra, where he stands in silence, barely audible, head bowed, like a servant before his master. He cannot even speak, which is why he asks God to open up his mouth, and I will sing your praises. That's bittul b'mitzios. Here he's expressing and embodying and reflecting Olam HaTzilus. The world of complete unity is completely one with Hashem. Yeah, that's a general overview of the whole sulam, the ladder of tefillah, leading the worshipper to deeper and deeper levels of connection. That's again malachim oilim and then v'yod. Sheba sulam gufu in the ladder itself. In addition to that, yes, but I just said the angels go up and come down. So there's also the Amshach from above to below, next page. A ladder is not, it serves leilak laliyah lagam liyadida. A ladder is not just for going up and for coming down. So where do we see the Amshach aspect, the drawing down aspect in all of these ascents? That we see this in Shazamash Bishmenesah, Boruch Atavaya. So now we're holding by Atzilus, the highest level, but it's all to be drawn down because Baruch means Baruch Hu Loshen Hamshacha. The word Baruch means to draw down. Right? The Berech Ani, we come down. This is drawing down. The requests of tefillah. There should be we're bringing down all the brachas, all the connections in the way of bracha into the world. So there's also the aspect of milamayla lamata as well. Yesh lakash is so this was a general beer in the union of tefillah, and how the tefillah is represented by the 4 rungs of the sulam of Yaakov. Yesh lakash is I'm going to connect this with which is explained in the mind of the Rebbe Rashab, Tafresh Nun Dalet, 70 years earlier. It appears, says the Rebbe, that the explanation we're about to quote from the Rebbe Rashab, that's really, it's based on the Maim of the Alter Rebbe. That's found in manuscripts. That it was redeemed from captivities. You know, during those years, I don't know exactly the story behind them, the people had it, and finally they gave it to the Rebbe. The Rebbe considered that Pidyon Shvuyim, handwritten Svarim, the Bichlach, written by the Alter Rebbe or by Chassidim. There were occasions people brought them from Russia, smuggled, took them out when they came, but on occasion they were in America, but held. When they got to the Rebbe, he said that's Pidyon Shvuyim. And the Rebbe would often, this is the reason why he's saying this Maimah, there were 2 on this Shabbos HaGadol. It could be that the reason he's saying the Maimah is because of the Pidyon Shvuyim, because the Maimah of the Rebbe Rashab, which his Maimah is based on this, on the Maimah of the Alter Rebbe that is now redeemed. And you see, he goes into Shtikl Arichas in the square brackets. And it's to be pointed out, just like there's redeeming captives, a Yid is in captivity, there's also redeeming Torah, which is in captivity. There's no source for this. The Rebbe is saying this. Shari Torah v'Yisrael k'shurim zeh b'zeh. Yidden and Torah bound up with each other. In one word, Bereshis is Rashi, Beis Reshis, 2 beginnings. Torah v'Yisrael. Torah and Yisrael, Shnikar Reshis, both are called in the Pasuk separate Psukim Reshis. So just like we have this thing in the Pidyon Shvuyim, for literally Jewish captives, and how appropriate it is that we're reading this now. So Hashem should help. That should be Take, Pidyon Shvuyim. So there's Pidyon Shvuyim by Yidden and there's Pidyon Shvuyim in Torah. And this bundle, this manuscript of the Alter Rebbe was in captivity and now redeemed. Sheyesh boy, now this booklet, there is this book, a Bichl in Yiddish, there is in it Noisef al Harab Mamarim Shekvan Nitvesu, in this newly redeemed book, there are many Mamarim that have been printed already, but also Kama Mamarim Shalin Nitvesu. And there are also Mamarim that were never printed yet, and the Rebbe is going to tell in his Maimah here, incorporate something of this new Bichel, which it seems he says the Rebbe Rashab's Maimah is also based on. So the Rebbe Rashab, time of the Rebbe Rashab had the Bichel. The Rebbe Rashab had the Bichel, but then it was in Shivya. We don't know who had it, and now finally the Rebbe is getting it. You follow?
The Rebbe Rashab finally had it, and then it was taken to Shivya. One of the times that
upheaval, or maybe someone private. We don't know. We don't know. So it's private people. Private people had it, to hang on to it, and then finally gave it. And for the Rebbe, it was Pidyon Shvuyim, belongs in Lubavitch, belongs by the Rabbi. She explains there. Where's the there? This is the Alter Rebbe's beer. שבשורש התפילה יש פלוגתא בין הפוסקים. He brings this in the Shorish Mitzvah Tefillah of the Tzemach Tzedek, that שבשורש התפילה, the root of the obligation to daven is a machlekes amongst the poskim, mainly the Rambam and the Ramban. Im yesh shorish letefillah min haTorah, if min haTorah were obligated to daven. The whole many mitzvahs, so though the Rishonim that count, give a list of the Taryag mitzvahs, we have, where does this come from? The in of Taryag mitzvahs was given, listen up, not in the Maamar, Moishe Sinai. You hear? If you count the mitzvahs in the Torah, there's 3 times Taryag mitzvahs. Every time it says do something. So there's a special way you have to count, understand how to count the Taryag mitzvahs. So you have the Rishonim that do so, and they mostly accord, but not always. And here's a case we're not. The whole many mitzvahs, kamei asmak, the sefer mitzvahs cotton, is the Rishonim, v'rashbat, HaOlah, they all came up with in their cheshbon of the Taryag mitzvahs, the tefillah ben nuscha, b'chol yoim hi d'rabbana. Davening the way we do, with the set nusach every day, that's midrabbana. Ach tefillah she'ispalel v'yivakesh beis min ha'itim. But to daven as per need, asher yitztarech ledova min hadvarim, someone needs something, ozim misoseser deraisa. That's deraisa. When you have a need, turn to God and ask Him. That's the tzivui deraisa. So you have to know that the address is the Eibishter and ask Him. But the nusach hatfilah, and to do it every day, that's midrabanan. According to the Rambam, to daven every day is midaraisa. According to the first opinion, if you have no needs, you don't daven. Conceivably, that you never have to daven. Baruch Hashem, He doesn't like anything. So that's the smak and the rashbat. The Rabbanon, they say, Rabbanon Mesakin, that's the rice. Rabbanon Mesakin to daven 3 times a day. Saying the other opinion is that no, that midday rice you have to daven every day. That's the Rambam. Now we're talking about the other opinions, who are the majority, not the Rambam. So it comes out according to that, the mitzvah tefillah einem yechedes dafke l'chol Hashem mekurev v'oimed lifnei Hashem k'tzadik. According to this opinion, that tefillah basically means that a yeraisa is, if you have a need, ask the Eibishter. So it applies to everybody. It's not just those who are close, like the tzaddikim. Ela kol gam kol mi shetzarich levakosha. Anyone who has a request, mitzvah sasei sheyivakish. So you have an obligation min haTorah to request it. It's not reserved only for the close tzaddikim, the ministers, in other words. Like an earthly king, every person can submit his request, even if he's very literally of the low caliber. It's not, this has nothing to do with whether the person is near or far at all. He is the address to fulfill requests, and that's it. This is the Rebbe Rashab and the Alter Rebbe. Now the Rebbe is adding b'derech hevsher. They said what? That according to the Smak and the Rashbat, the mitzvahs say the Rai says when you have a need you ask. Then the Rebbe Rashab and the Alter Rebbe answered, the Rebbe Rashab answered that from this we see, according to them, that feel is not only for the Mekurev b'Yosef, but for everyone. Yeah, that's what they said. Now, third component, the Rebbe is adding, Sh'adarab. Not only, it's also for the Meruchek, but Dafke for him. Sh'adarab eitz ha-Meruchek shaykh in ha-Tefillah Yosef. On the contrary, having needs is more shaykh to the one who is distant, to the one who is close. Because the one who is close has no needs. He's bittul, he's bottle. Who has I need, Dafke the meruchik, right? So it comes out that the mitzvahs asayid the rice according to these days, which is rough days, is more applicable to the pasha to yid than the tzaddik, because he has these needs. Rabbi says he goes into the situation. The one who's close in the yard, he's bittul. The very high level, he's not a mitzvah at all. Even if he is missing something, like the Maisa with the Magid, he's not missing anything. The famous story with the Magid, yeah. He doesn't feel he's lacking anything because he's bottled. So he has nothing to ask. So, for the one who's Mekudev, the mitzvah, the rice is not so shaykh to him. Which is all about asking that needs be met. Says the Rabbi, it's not also him, it's especially him. He does feel himself. He feels what he's missing. And he asks for it. So therefore, it's more, the mitzvah says, say the Raisa talks more to him than the Mekudev. But then not only that, everything is even lower. He's not lacking. He thinks he's lacking. That's because of his katnas amoichin. But what's the halacha? You think you're lacking? Ask the Eibishter. So Adrabah, in the Pechusya Erech, who does the mitzvahs said that I apply to? The lowest, within that, the lowest level. That's the big chiddush. Harikivim shabar gashosei choseru, since in his hergish he's missing. Harigam oz yeshna mitzvahs say shetzarech levakish, he has to ask. The Nimtza made the conclusion, this is typical of the Rebbe, she'ikerin in atfila who eats am ruchik dafke, that the ikar of tefillah is dafke by the one who's far and distant. Clear? We'll just begin this now. It would appear this contradicts. We just finished saying the mitzvah sasei the rice is dafke for the yid who has needs, and even needs that are not real needs, but in his mind they are needs. Ask the Eibishter. Daven. So how does this fit with davening is this very lofty level. V'nailis binyan abitul. Tefillah is all about an attachment to Hashem and a great degree of self-nullification. Kimurumas b'tevas tefillah. The very word tefillah implies that. Kamay ha'toifel. Ha'toifel means to glue together broken licheres, which means to take two pieces and make them one. So tefillah means attachment, in other words, in the deepest way. How can we say, on the one hand, that tefillah is dafka for the Baruch B'Yoser, and then what does tefillah mean? Attachment to the highest dargis, it's complete stira. Shugam, Beloshen Tofel bottle, and another meaning of the word tefillah, because the letter tes and tof can be exchanged. Brings in the order 26, the order of the Rebbe, and the Tav Shin Ches. At any rate, based on the Zoyar. So, tefillah is Meloshen Tofel. What does Tofel mean? Completely secondary and nullified. So, Sh'inyin zeh shayech eitz ha'mekudev dafke. So, who's bottled? The mekudev. And now we're saying that tefillah and pashtos, that the rice, according to the most poskim, is adrab. It applies really only to the meruchik. How do you reconcile these two things? That Be'ez Hashem will do tomorrow. Good morning, gentlemen. Davening in 5 minutes. Huh?
You always see this connected chokhmah to bittul. Is it not shaykh for a person who's not a chochem? Because you also connected with the brothers and the chochem says, why are you doing this? What's the difference, this or that? Why are you learning? Just bittul, just do it. Is it not shaykh for somebody who's not a chochem to have some kind of a level of bittul? Like a chochem?
Yeah.
Meaning that is the bittul of the chochem comes because it's chochem and he understands, and that's why you have the bittul.
The true Chachma is L'mayim and HaSeichel.
What?
The true Chachma is because he's connected to L'mayim and HaSeichel. Therefore,
it's not because of his Chachma.
Yeah.
So anybody can connect.
Adarabba, the Pashat Yid, the Kabbalah Seil could be, could have that bittul too. Except that the Chachm's bittul is despite his Seichel, as it were. Whereas the Pashat Yid, the Chatchil is known as Seichel. So it's a different kind of bittul. It's a simpler bittul. The Chachm's bittul is more sophisticated because he does have the understanding. Now, for Pekin is Lamai connects. Yeah.